History is often written by the victors, but some stories are so secret they nearly vanished into the shadows of time. Welcome to Echoes of Time, where we uncover mysteries, hidden operations, and untold stories that shaped our world. Today, we journey back to World War II to reveal a story so extraordinary, so ingenious, that it remained classified for decades. The story of America's Ghost Army. During the war, while millions of soldiers faced deadly combat, a small but extraordinary unit of the U.S. Army used imagination, illusion, and ingenuity to fight without firing a single bullet. They created illusions so convincing that enemy forces were misled, deceived, and manipulated at every turn. This is the story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known as the Ghost Army. In 1944, the Allied forces faced a formidable challenge. Defeating the Nazis in Europe required not only brute force, but also cunning strategy. The U.S. Army recognized that misdirection could save thousands of lives, reduce casualties, and make battles more manageable. This led to the creation of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a unique unit of 1,100 men, unlike any other in military history. These soldiers were not typical combatants. They were artists, designers, actors, sound engineers, and creative thinkers, recruited from New York, Hollywood, and other creative hubs. Their mission was clear but unprecedented: to fool the enemy into believing a massive army existed where there was none. Using deception as their weapon, the Ghost Army could manipulate enemy movements, divert attacks, and change the course of battles without firing a shot. In war, perception is reality, said one veteran of the unit, reflecting on the philosophy that drove their operations. The Ghost Army's ingenuity lay in its combination of art, technology, and psychological strategy. Their tools were both simple and revolutionary. 1. Inflatable tanks and vehicles. Rubber and canvas tanks, artillery, jeeps, and trucks were painstakingly crafted to appear real from the air or a distance. These inflatable decoys fooled enemy reconnaissance planes, drawing attention away from actual troop movements. Soldiers carefully positioned these fake vehicles to cast realistic shadows, adding to the illusion. 2. Sound effects. Sound engineers recorded the movements of troops, tanks, and artillery, and then used massive speakers to project these sounds across the battlefield. From miles away, the enemy heard the rumble of tanks and the march of divisions that didn't exist. 3. Fake radio transmissions. The Ghost Army also used deceptive radio communications to simulate the presence of entire divisions. Skilled radio operators sent coded messages mimicking legitimate units, luring German intelligence into believing the U.S. forces were stronger and positioned differently than reality. 4. Visual deception and camouflage. Soldiers dressed in authentic uniforms staged formations while decoys created realistic silhouettes. Smoke, mirrors, and careful positioning enhanced the illusions, making the phantom units appear fully operational. Through these methods, the Ghost Army transformed the battlefield into a stage where art and strategy blended seamlessly to mislead the enemy. The Ghost Army's first major deployment occurred during the Normandy campaign in mid-1944. Using inflatable tanks and creative sound illusions, they staged entire divisions to confuse German commanders. Their phantom units often appeared where the enemy least expected them, causing hesitation and misallocation of resources. One of their most significant contributions was during the Battle of the Bulge in late 1944. This brutal winter battle tested Allied forces to the limit. Here, the Ghost Army staged massive illusions to draw German attention away from key Allied positions, saving countless lives in the process. Soldiers in the Ghost Army lived and worked under constant threat. While their tanks were inflatable and their soldiers were actors, they faced real danger from enemy patrols and unpredictable combat situations. The line between reality and illusion was razor thin, and failure could mean death. Despite this, the Ghost Army executed their operations flawlessly, moving silently across Europe, setting up elaborate deceptions, and vanishing before the enemy could react. Their contributions were pivotal, yet remained hidden from public knowledge for decades. What truly set the Ghost Army apart was the diverse talent of its members. These were men whose skills in painting, theater, music, and engineering became instruments of war. Tony Sisto, a master illustrator, painted decoys at night while under the threat of enemy detection. Al Weinstein, a sound engineer, crafted audio illusions that carried over miles of battlefield terrain. Soldiers acted in staged formations, marching with phantom soldiers to create shadows and the illusion of movement. Despite danger, the men approached their work with creativity, courage, and humor. They understood that their victories would remain invisible, that recognition would come decades later, and yet they persisted. Their lives were a delicate balance of art and survival, requiring both precision and imagination. Many would later reflect that their time in the Ghost Army shaped their post-war careers, inspiring them in fields like architecture, design, and filmmaking. One of the most daring operations was Operation Bergschloss during the European advance. Here, the Ghost Army created a massive illusion of a full armored division, drawing German forces away from a vulnerable sector. Inflatable tanks, sound trucks, and fake radio transmissions worked in concert to mislead the enemy. Another critical mission occurred in Alsace, France, where the Ghost Army staged phantom troops to simulate a major assault, preventing the Germans from reinforcing their front lines. These deceptions were so convincing that enemy commanders committed resources to defend against armies that didn't exist. The Ghost Army's ingenuity lay in its attention to detail. Shadows were calculated, sounds timed perfectly, and movements choreographed like a ballet. Every action was deliberate, every illusion precise. The Ghost Army pioneered techniques that influenced modern military deception. Their inflatable tanks and sound projection methods were precursors to today's digital and holographic decoys. Even radio deception techniques are echoed in modern electronic warfare strategies. Their operations demonstrated that war could be fought with brains as much as brawn, and that creativity could be as lethal as firepower. Historians now recognize that the Ghost Army's contributions altered the outcomes of multiple engagements, potentially shortening the war and saving thousands of lives. Despite their extraordinary service, the Ghost Army remained classified for decades. Veterans were sworn to secrecy, and their story did not enter the public domain until 1996, when the Pentagon officially recognized their achievements. Today, their story is celebrated in museums, documentaries, and exhibitions. The Ghost Army serves as a reminder that heroism often operates in silence, and that innovation and ingenuity can be as impactful as conventional warfare. The soldiers of the Ghost Army left behind a legacy that transcends military history. They showed that the human imagination, when combined with strategy, can change the course of events. The Ghost Armies teach us several timeless lessons. 1. Innovation can defeat force. Thinking creatively can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. 2. Courage comes in many forms. Heroism is not always visible. Sometimes it lies in invisible acts of bravery. 3. History holds hidden truths. Even the most classified stories eventually emerge, reminding us of the untold sacrifices behind victory. The Ghost Army's operations also remind us that war is not only fought on the front lines, but in the minds of those who plan and deceive. Their ability to manipulate perception saved countless lives and demonstrates the power of ingenuity over sheer strength. The Ghost Army of World War II stands as one of history's most extraordinary examples of courage, creativity, and strategy. These unsung heroes risked their lives in silence, crafting illusions that altered battles and saved thousands. For decades, their story remained hidden, but today it reminds us that true heroism can be both invisible and transformative. If you enjoyed this journey into history's hidden corners, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Time, and hit the bell icon to explore more untold stories from the past. Remember, history is not just about dates and battles. It's about the mysteries, the secrets, and the echoes left behind.